Hi, friends. I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking to slow down and find meaning in the ordinary, then welcome. You've come to the right place. Every week, I share tactical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of life so you can enjoy what truly matters most. It is an exciting season at Simplified because we just launched a brand new batch of Simplified planners. We have daily and weekly editions that begin in January 2022, so you can start dreaming and planning ahead for a great new year. And you can even get ahead on your holiday shopping. We have notepads and pens and workbooks galore and adorable planner patterns that are going to sell out quickly. So head on over to emilylay.com and get your new Simplified planner and accessories today. I want to start our episode today by acknowledging something about you. My dear listener, I know you have a lot on your plate. Yes, you. Under a sea of deadlines and demands, as you plaster on a smile and an I've got this attitude over everything you have to do, I know that if we're really being honest, sometimes you might feel like you're drowning in a sea of tasks and daily requirements from people who need you. Here's the thing. I don't talk about getting organized and trying to enjoy what matters most because I've got it all figured out. And actually, it's quite the opposite. I talk about this stuff because I'm in it too, like really, really in it. You know, it's amazing to think about all the wonderful people I get to love and all the work I get to do and the fabulous team I get to do it with. I like to think that managing all these wonderful things is like tending a great big, beautiful garden. For every blooming flower to admire, there were hours of work that went into tilling the soil, planting the seeds, watering and fertilizing, pruning and shearing. There's a lot of work that goes into maintaining something so wonderful and life-giving. But sometimes it can be downright exhausting. Add in too many elements to keep up, and it can just feel plain overwhelming. I saw the best meme floating around Instagram the other day, and it was like a big felt letterboard that read, adulting is just saying, but after this week, things will slow down a bit over and over again until you die. And some weeks, it almost feels a little too true, doesn't it? It doesn't matter what season we're in or where life has led us up to this moment. This feeling of overwhelm is something you've probably held inside for many, many years. I know I have. There are many, many reasons why a huge portion of us are battling this feeling of overwhelm. Humans are wired for connection, after all. For thousands of years, our bodies and brains have adapted to make sure that we pay attention to the people around us, to our tribe. Our brains adapted this way so that we would feel compelled to make a contribution to the tribe. And to reciprocate, our tribe would feel compelled to care for us too. We survived in greater numbers when we worked together and cared for each other. And that's why our brains are wired for connection. The problem is, I don't think we were wired to deal with so much stuff in the process of caring for the tribe. Thanks to computers and cell phones, today our brains are processing a huge volume of information, way more than our ancestors did, or even our great-grandparents. We've never had to care for people in person and worry about the image we're projecting online. We've never had to listen to so many messages telling us what it looks like to fit in, what we should look like, what we should wear, what our kids should be doing. And depending on who we're paying attention to, those messages can differ widely. It's impossible to meet every expectation and please everyone. I mean, honestly, just talking through that, it's no wonder we're overwhelmed. It's perfectly natural that you wouldn't want to feel this way. And one of the fastest ways to do that is to numb yourself. But listen to me. I know how it feels to want to shut the door to your room, reach for a bag of gummy bears, and binge watch 7 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. I get it. It can feel like such a relief to check out of reality for a while and numb yourself, especially if you've been dealing with panic and anxiety that come from having way too much on your plate, and you just want to tap out and make everything go away. But you know what? That relief you're going to feel from numbing yourself is only going to be temporary. if you don't tackle those tasks in the moment, if you eat too many gummy bears, if you avoid dealing with the things on your plate, then you may find yourself battling with an even harder feeling to cope with: shame. And you know what shame does? Like Brene Brown tells us, I love her. Shame doesn't say, I did bad. Shame says, I am bad. And let me tell you, that feeling that says, I am bad is one of the hardest feelings you'll ever have to overcome. Because when you believe that you're bad, that you're defective, that you can't do and never will do anything right, then you're setting yourself up on a feedback loop of failure. It becomes much harder to take real, actionable steps out of your feelings of overwhelm. Living life while dealing with shame is like running a race with a weight vest on. You can do it. You might be able to clock a decent time, but when you keep that weight vest on, you've made it so much harder on yourself to succeed. As challenging as it is, one of the quickest ways to overcome overwhelm is to face the people and obligations and everything else that is making you feel overwhelmed in the first place. It's valuing your mental health and worthiness enough to put boundaries in place. And to be honest, putting in boundaries in your life is a radical act of self-care. When you believe the world actually benefits when you care for yourself, I guarantee you'll begin to feel overwhelmed far less. This episode won't be a silver bullet that will magically help you get rid of this feeling of overwhelm by tomorrow. I can't promise you that. But what I'd like to offer you is a chance to check in with yourself. How have you been feeling this week? Have there been moments when you reached your max capacity and thought, I literally can't do this anymore, I am completely overwhelmed? If you said yes, then let's think through some ways we can start tackling this feeling of overwhelm. Number 1, embrace the idea of being present over perfect. This one goes out to all the recovering perfectionists out there, the ones who would rather do nothing than try something and fall on your face in the middle of it. I love this idea of being present over perfect. It's a term that the beautiful writer Shauna Niequist coined a few years ago, because it's basically saying that it's better to show up with all our flaws than to not show up at all. I also call this grace, not perfection. And let's be real, it's safe not to show up. It's safe to keep our lack of knowledge, our messy house, or untoned arms away from the prying eyes and judgments of others. But the things that we're self-conscious about prevent us from connecting with other people. And when we prevent ourselves from connection, we're not living with the joy and freedom we were created to have. It can feel so hard to let ourselves be seen in a world that rewards perfection. But that perfectionism is a hollow substitute for connection. That's why, even with Instagram and FaceTime, so many of us have felt lonely this past year. As things have begun to open back up, maybe you felt this urge to move forward a little bit differently, to embrace this idea of letting people in, of being present over perfect. I'm trying to do that in my own life, and saying no to fussy meals in a sparkling house when friends come over, and yes to game nights with pizza and paper plates. I'm saying no to makeup and a cute outfit every single day, and yes to ball caps and ponytails while I cheer Brady on at the soccer field. You are worthy of love and belonging, just as you are right now. I believe this about you, and I hope you begin to believe it about yourself too. Number 2, say yes to helpers. There's nothing more encouraging than seeing people step up to help others in the middle of a hard season. I know you've been that person for so many others. It's okay to let someone else be a helper for you. Are you going on vacation soon? Maybe ask a coworker if you can put their contact information on your out-of-office message, or field a few emails while you're out. Do you need to schedule your annual physical, and the only time your doctor has available is during school pickup? Ask a friend to take your kids for the afternoon. Is your week filling up with out-of-town visitors and unexpected projects from your boss? Time to fire up the food delivery apps. Do you feel like you need a few minutes to let out some frustration? Call up a friend and say, I don't need any advice, I just need to process some things out loud. You weren't made to do everything perfectly by yourself. Part of being in authentic connection with someone is being vulnerable enough to ask for help. It's rewarding for both of you too. Number 3, give yourself permission to slow down. There will be days when you reach critical mass and you literally can't handle one more thing on your plate. Your heart rate's up, your shoulders are around your ears, and your brain is in a frantic loop, trying to figure out everything that needs to get done, which is nearly impossible because everything is a white-hot priority. You know what you do in those moments? You take a step back. You take a deep breath and a few minutes to slow down. You press pause, pump the brakes. This is a great time to put on a playlist of calming music, or even a meditation from the Calm app or YouTube. Let your brain check out for 15 minutes while your body begins to slow down physically. When the time's up, I bet you'll be shocked by how much more relaxed you feel and how your decision-making skills have suddenly returned. When I am feeling overwhelmed and need to relax, I also like to do a brain dump of everything that's going on in my head. Have you ever heard that saying, what gets measured gets managed? That's how I feel about a brain dump. When I can visually see everything that's taking up space in my head, it's much easier for me to make a game plan on how to tackle it. Number 4, say no even when it's scary. You guys, I just did this, not even kidding you, 30 minutes ago. I was having a very overwhelmed day today, and there was an opportunity that came to me that was really, really good, really valuable, really wonderful, and I had to say no. I had to say no to something good, and that is so hard. Most women, by the way, have been raised to say yes, to commit, to wear all the hats, but in 2016, after one of the busiest seasons of my life, I decided I wasn't going to live that way anymore. During that season, the busyness that consumed my world was honestly wonderful. My business had grown exponentially. The Simplified planner was being carried in over 800 stores around the world. People would say, what an accomplishment. What an incredible business growth for your company. That's amazing. And all I could think was, I am so tired. What started out as a good thing had become an intense tax on my health, my family, and my heart, and I was so tired. I remember the night I decided we needed to go in a different direction. I sat on my bedroom floor with a poster board and a Sharpie, getting ready to do a big brain dump, and as I wrote, I realized that all this success was something I wanted, something my team and I had worked so hard for, but suddenly what I wanted was draining the life right out of me. I had spent the prior 12 months with like infant twins at home and a 4-year-old on 48 airplanes, visiting countless cities, and I had run myself into the ground. I knew something had to give. As terrifying as it was, at the end of that year, we closed 95% of our wholesale business. We downsized from 800 stores to 5, eventually 0. And as a team, we decided to implement better systems that allowed us to be our best selves for our families. And you know what? An amazing thing happened after that. I was back home at my parents' house, and I was laying in the grass watching Brady try to teach the twins Duck, Duck, Goose. They were toddlers at the time. And I remember just laying there, feeling the cool, prickly grass tickle my hands. And I remember looking up at the sky and feeling so grateful for the familiar, fresh country air around me. I listened to my 3 kids laughing, each with a very different blossoming personality. And I knew in that moment I had made the right decision. I get it, you guys. Feeling overwhelmed almost feels more normal than feeling relaxed, because you might think that feeling relaxed means you're not working hard enough. But I wonder what our lives would look like if we normalized a feeling of ease instead. I wonder if we'd feel more content if we let go of what we thought our lives should look like and embraced what matters to us. You can't experience simple joys when you're living life with your hair on fire, when your brain is reciting and rehashing your to-do list. You can't enjoy the warmth of an afternoon breeze when you're clamoring to get inside because you have so much left to do. Throughout my life, there have been times when my body has told me, this is too much. There are times when I've ignored it and times when I've paid attention to it, and I will say this, even though sometimes it's hard to listen to that voice that says I can't do this anymore, I've never regretted it when I acted on that voice. My family is happier and healthier because I made that decision. And most importantly, so am I. Before we go, I would like to pray a little blessing over you as you turn your thoughts toward tackling this week. If you're not driving, I invite you to just take 30 seconds and close your eyes and let these words wash over you. May you give yourself the grace to reach for a life that is slower and sweeter. May you allow yourself to receive help with open palms and a full heart. May you give yourself one of the most loving and valuable gifts of all, time and space to care for yourself. As always, I like to leave you with a simple tip you can take out of this episode and into the week ahead. And this week, your task is this. One of the reasons so many of us feel overwhelmed today is because we lack boundaries, aka the ability to kindly say, I can't help you with that because this is what I need. So this week, I want you to start educating yourself. Go follow Instagram accounts like therapist Nadra Tawwab. Read the book Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. You may be surprised by what you learn about yourself, that perhaps you're giving too much of yourself away, and you're able to serve the people you love a bit more when you take care of yourself first. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Simplified podcast. I hope today's special episode has given you a few tools you can use to navigate those moments of overwhelm. You can find show notes for this episode at emilylay.com/podcast, where you can check out links and resources I mentioned here, and you can shop the Simplified brand of planners and products. Plus, for more simplicity tips, you can find me on Instagram at emilylay and at Simplified. Also, you can watch this podcast on YouTube. Subscribe today at youtube.com/simplified by Emily Lay so you never miss an episode, and share with your friends too. If you like what you heard on the show today, then you are going to love my brand new book, Growing Boldly, Dare to Build a Life You Love, which is in stores right now wherever you buy books. One more thing, if you love this show, it would mean so much to me if you hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. It's a little thing, but it tells Apple that other people might like this show too and helps our show grow. Thank you so much for your help there. And until next time, thank you so much for listening. Bye.